Thank you for joining the Asheville Rise Stronger Together podcast. This is your host, Jessica Knupp with the Asheville Area Chamber of Commerce. I hope you enjoy today's episode. This episode is brought to you by our sponsor, True Point Bank. Today we are here with Lindsay Coward with Yoga Nut. Lindsay, we are so glad to have you. So I love the concept of your business, but I would love for you to tell everyone kind of how you got started, what you do, and how everything works in your world.
Yeah, thank you, Jessica. Thanks for having me on the show today.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so Yoga Nut is a worksite wellness company. We service local businesses and organizations with wellness programs as well as services for conferences, so wellness services for conferences and team meetings, whether they're local, folks that come into town from different businesses and areas, as well as live stream and across the nation. Yeah. So how did I get into this, right? I was a burned out corporate employee. I felt very isolated and negative at work, and I remembered that I took yoga classes when I was an undergraduate student, and I was an athlete as well at the time, and I found that practicing yoga, breathing in a more self-serving way, meditating, those sort of activities helped me to be more focused as an athlete and as a student.
Right.
So I decided to try yoga again, and I started practicing in the evenings after work at a small studio where I lived at the time. And I noticed one day that I showed up to work from a different space.
Right.
Personally, I was more positive. I felt like I had more capacity for the environment, and it didn't drain me as much as it had previously. It was an aha moment for me in that if I did these yoga practices on my own and was able to show up from a better space at work, what if an entire working group had access to meditations or breathing or even just stretches throughout the day? How much more productive and focused and positive and supported could an entire organization be? Right. And that is what started my journey to become a certified yoga instructor.
I love it.
And to continue my education through a master's in public health with an emphasis on stress in the workplace.
Wow.
And thus, over the years, yes, here we are, Yoga Nut.
I love it. And I know just from knowing you, you kind of were ahead of the game a little bit with COVID. I mean, you had kind of...
Yes, in the sense of live stream.
Right.
Yes.
Not like you didn't know what was happening, but like you kind of already had pivoted a little bit. Or
I had. So I learned about Zoom when I was in graduate school.
Which is great because I had no idea what Zoom was before COVID. Somebody tried to schedule a Zoom with me, like I think in February, and I was just like, oh, I don't think we can do that. Mainly because I didn't know what it was, but you know, that's okay.
Yeah, so I've actually had one client that I've worked with since 2019 that's always been a live stream yoga class for a large conference. Wow. That the conference travels across the US and in Canada, and we Zoomed to their meetings since then. So when COVID hit, it was a chance for me to continue to share and showcase the fact that our services are available live stream so that they can be safe during a time of uncertainty.
Right. Yeah. I actually took one of your classes, and I remember on live. So
at the time I was doing live stream classes for the community as well.
Yes.
Yep.
And I actually had ended up with COVID, and I was like, Lindsay, I just got COVID, but I'm safe because I'm at home. And you were like, just do what you can. And I was like, got this. Yeah. So I just think that's so amazing that you were actually positioned, and that's actually how we met, was actually via Zoom, doing, I believe it was a business after hours or a business before hours, because during that time we pivoted And we were doing everything through Zoom, and I believe it was like through one of our little breakout rooms that that's actually how we connected, was during that time. So
I believe
really
so.
cool.
Yes. Yes.
So, we've been through COVID. Now we've been through a hurricane. What kind of experience has that been through Helene and in your business? Like, what was that like?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, I relaunched my business during COVID. So it became a more inclusive worksite wellness program at that time. And after that, I also had a baby.
Right.
So I've had a couple of, not necessarily setbacks, but other obstacles or challenges and things that I've focused on throughout that time. So 2024 for me was actually a year of building my business even more, of continuing to network more, to outreach more, and to really support more clients, not only locally, but nationally. And when Hurricane Helene hit, my book of business here disappeared. Right. And it actually took me a few weeks to notice also the devastation of my physical workspace, where our team films for our on-demand portal, which is available for teams and individuals, as well as where we live stream all of our services, our workshops and our yoga classes and meditation classes for conferences and staff meetings. And over, the weeks after the hurricane, I started noticing a smell in the room. I noticed the walls were buckled, the baseboards were popping off, mold was growing on anything that was like a porous fabric. And so in the weeks after that, it was such a shock that it was like everything was gone. Physical damage and economic damage. Right. So I spent a lot of time going through all of my supplies, of determining what was salvageable and what wasn't, and then I need money. I need to fix this space and repurchase my supplies and reconnect with businesses that I was talking to before the hurricane and see where they were, see what was happening in their worlds. Everyone had their own experience, and I think we were all a little blinded by the large devastation that was happening, because everything was right there. What was happening in your neighborhood, what was happening at your business, what was happening with your team. And so my next step was researching for grants to help cover the costs of business expenses that recur monthly, as well as rebuilding the business and reestablishing relationships and growing again.
Well, and a lot of that communication, like, we didn't have a way to communicate, we didn't have our cell phone service, we didn't have internet, and so that was really challenging as well, for a lot of us with our business. Well, how do you feel, connecting with like your book of business? Like, how does that look like it's been evolving, like, since then? Like, is it?
So some businesses have closed, unfortunately. Others are also rebuilding. And I have new business as well. So I'm kind of like in a place of continuing to foster relationships with the community, reaching out to businesses I've worked with in the past, as well as, new clients. I know you also are a member of other organizations too, to help with some of that outreach too. I don't know if you want to touch on any of that. So one thing that I started diving into a little bit at the end or middle of 2024 was being a speaker. So I already lead workshops on stress resiliency, especially at work, teaching tools to help build that resilience to stress, so that you can be more focused and show up with a nervous system that's at ease. And becoming, or deciding to join the National Speakers Association, the local chapter, really putting myself out there as a speaker, as a way to share this knowledge with other businesses and organizations, with working adults, also as a way to outreach and connect with other business communities and serve more folks.
Yeah, I think it's great. I've been to almost all of the events that you guys have done. I know you've been the MC for some of those as well, right?
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah. And I think that's another way of like pivoting too, to kind of, like you said, put yourself out there, foster other, relationships and different things, doing things locally as well. As far as like some of those local grants, like what did that look like? I mean, have you had some success with that?
Yeah, I applied for 5 or 6 grants. I received a small reimbursement grant through the Asheville Buncombe Building Together Fund, which was really helpful for helping me reimburse the maintenance side, those monthly bills that you have to pay no matter what.
Right.
And then I also received a grant through the Search Foundation, which is a meetings industry foundation for disaster and basically any sort of life upheaval.
Wow.
So that was really, between those, really gave me the hope that I could rebuild my structure and continue to move forward in business, because otherwise, like, what can you do?
Yeah. Well, you always have such a positive outlook on things. I mean, I know whenever I talk to you, I'm like, you always have such a great outlook on things, no matter what is going on. So it's always really a great opportunity, to talk.
Yeah, it's because I use my tools.
I know that. I always feel like I'm a great candidate for that. I feel like sometimes.
Yes, always all the breathing. I think I talked about that at the last NSA meeting that we event that we had, about how the hurricane really broke me, honestly. I felt the most broken I've ever felt in my life, and to a point where I didn't really know if and how it would come back.
Right.
And so I really leaned into breathing, using breath of joy and 4-7-8 breath, taking walks, like moving my body in ways that felt good for me to build back my capacity so that I could show up to network again and show up in this environment, be available for my contractor when they were there and telling me, oh, the wrong materials were here, or it's going to be a few more days for that, whatever it was. Anything that came at me, I needed to have that resilience. And so I really leaned into those tools that I teach in my workshops, all like on an hourly basis, essentially.
Right.
In order to show up and still be here and be positive.
Yeah, and to be a mom, and it's challenging to have to do all of those things all at once and be a business owner and all of that. So, what looking back, anything that you have learned?
Something I've learned. Well, I definitely, as far as business building, I think the longer you're in business, the more you just have insights and understand the whole structure of business. And over the past few years, really focusing locally, connecting with local community. I love Asheville and Western North Carolina. I want to support the business community here and continue to support the business community here. However, seeing the devastation that we all faced, I kind of had all my eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
And so it made me realize this other side of speaking and presenting, not only locally, but traveling to conferences and events in other metropolitan areas is a huge asset for me, and one that I was already kind of playing around with. And so this experience really pushed me to want to continue to outreach in other areas and connect to different businesses and different communities.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
I love it. I know that we've had you at one of our retreats that we did at the chamber, and that was really cool. We were at a really awesome setting, and we did some breath work and some yoga, and it's just a really cool experience to get to do with your team. And it's something that like I personally had never experienced in your workspace. How do you feel? I know you've been in like manufacturing. Like, how does that experience, like, can you explain that a little bit? Because that's like a different vibe, right?
I'm really good at walking in people's shoes.
Yeah.
And understanding different business. So it doesn't matter if I'm walking into a bank or a manufacturing center or working with a school or a lawyer's office.
Yeah.
I like to learn as much as I can about a business or organization, understand the people there so that I can support that team. I show up where they are, and if it's at a conference room, we're doing movements around a table. If it's at a manufacturing center, we're in the space.
Yeah.
And so everything is tailored to their needs. They're releasing tension in the shoulders, that repetitive motion that so many manufacturing folks deal with. What are some movements, some breathing, some tools that they can use to help release those tensions? Yeah. So a lot of it is education as well as hands-on experience with the whole team. So they can remind each other of, hey, remember we learned this thing for the shoulders? Yeah. And continue to practice it over and over again.
Because like you said, they are doing the same thing over and over. And I know that was one of your examples at one of your presentations that you did. So, I know the work that you do is so important, and we're so lucky to have you in our community. Is there any other stories that you would like to share with us today about anything that you have going on?
Not sure. Just excited to still be in business, honestly, and to look back and remember what it felt like to have that sense of brokenness and to now feel like it's okay. Things are okay. Things are moving forward. It might be different than expected, and that's okay. Yeah. And that's what I teach too, showing up where you are that day. If you're at work and you're coming to one of our sessions, whether it's educational or interactive or movement based, you just be where you are. Right. It's good.
Yeah. Well, I would love for you to tell everyone how they can find out about checking out some of your on-demand or inquiries about worksite wellness. Can you tell us a little bit about how we can find you?
Yes, the best way to find me is online. On my website, it's yoga-nut.com. There's a tab on there if you're interested in a speaker or wellness for an event or a foundation meeting. There's information on there about our worksite wellness programs and on demand, which is available for individuals and for teams. Okay. I'm also on Instagram. Okay. Yoga Nut Wellness with underscores between the words. Okay. LinkedIn, Lindsay Coward. That's where you find a lot of the professional information, where I'll be speaking, that sort of thing. So.
And then do you also still have like your on demand where it's like a monthly subscription?
Yes, that's the Yoga Nut on demand.
Okay. Individuals can do.
Individuals can sign up for that, and I've also worked with teams. So it comes if you have a worksite wellness program, you automatically get a Yoga Nut on demand portal for your team. Oh, okay. But it's also sold separately for folks that want just a tool for their employer or employees to use on their own time.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. So, perfect. Well, Lindsay, we are so glad that you're here with us today. Thank you so much for taking time out. And we're just so grateful that your business is able to get through all of this, and you were able to pivot, and all these different opportunities that you have put out on the table. And we're grateful for your membership as well with the Chamber. And thank you so much.
Thank you. So happy to be here.
Thanks.
If you enjoyed today's episode, like, comment, and subscribe. To learn more about joining the Asheville Chamber, scan the QR code on your screen or visit ashevillechamber.org. Until next time!